There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein, and there are hundreds of victims, and no one victim will ever get released.
So we already know that Attorney General Pam Bondi's release of the Epstein files was a pure smokescreen. I mean, I could have told you that months before this even happened. Obviously, they're never going to release any documents that would implicate anybody. And the Epstein issue is an issue that no administration is ever going to be fully transparent in.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below. I greatly appreciate the support. Find this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
This feels like the Chris Watts story all over again. I don't know if you guys have heard of the father who unalived his 3 daughters after picking them up from their mother's house for a scheduled visitation. So on May 30th at 5 p.m., Travis Decker picked up 9-year-old Payne, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia from their mother's house and was supposed to return them by 8 p.m. that night. This is the last footage they have of Travis when he went to pick up the girls, and their mother, Whitney, said that when he arrived, he was acting a bit strange. He was more quiet than usual, but she never thought he would ever hurt their daughters. That night, when he failed to return the 3 girls, Whitney called the police and reported her daughters missing, but police told her that because Travis had legal visitation rights, they couldn't immediately issue an Amber Alert. Then, 3 days later, on June 2nd, all 3 girls' bodies were found near Rock Island Campground in Washington. Trigger warning for this part, but the girls were found with plastic bags over their heads and zip ties around their wrists. Travis's truck was found near their bodies, his wallet was inside his vehicle, and there was blood also found that belonged to a man. Travis is still on the run, and investigators found that days before he took his daughter's lives, he searched online how to relocate to find a job in Canada. Now, the mother has spoken out and mentioned that Travis suffered from severe PTSD and BPD after serving in the military, and that they failed to provide him with necessary mental health care. What I find so odd about this is that Travis was basically homeless. He was living out of his truck, and Whitney had made a petition to modify the visitations because his mental health was getting so bad. So I don't understand how he was even allowed to take the girls since he didn't have a home.
People who unbelievably cheated death part 2. In 2003 in Wayne County, Utah, Aaron Ralston experienced a climbing accident in which his right arm became trapped between a large boulder and a canyon wall. If this story sounds familiar, it's because it was made famous by the movie 127 Hours. Aaron survived for 5 days on 2 burritos and a bottle of water, and after amputating his own arm, he somehow managed to rappel down the canyon and walked for several hours until he found rescue. In 1982, Stephen Callahan was sailing from the Canary Islands when his boat sank after just 6 days into the trip. Left adrift on a 5-foot life raft, Callahan managed to salvage only 3 pounds of food and 8 pints of water. He managed to survive and travel almost 1,800 miles dealing with dehydration and even shark attacks. After a harrowing 76 days in the open ocean, Callahan was eventually rescued by a fisherman.
I talked about this mother that gave her 6-year-old son an exorcism to clean him of the demons and ended up killing him in Florida. The body camera footage just dropped with the cops' interaction with Rhonda Paulinis after she killed her son. She was very nonchalant about the entire situation. You can just feel the aura of the video was weird. I'm going to play it for you guys right now. Let's check it out. Also, check out my YouTube video on it. I just did a 6-minute deep dive on the entire situation, breaking down everything that happened. But let's play the video for you guys now.
You have a 17-year-old son?
17-year-old son?
Or, oh, I'm sorry, a child?
Yes.
They haven't been in school in this whole month?
Oh, yeah, no. It's just that, I haven't sent him to school yet.
Weird.
Okay. So, from what I'm being told, they haven't been in school this whole month.
41, it's all 97?
The school is unaware of what's going on with him.
Oh, he's going to go back to school.
Okay, but at this point, it's already reached the point of truancy. It's reaching the point of truancy.
This is after the child's been killed. They're about to go see him inside right now. Obviously, I can't show that.
And then go inside, so we got at least he's in it. That's what she said.
You can see she's acting weird.
The entire interaction is about 3 to 4 minutes long. Like I said, it's on my YouTube, the entire thing. But this is just such a sad situation for this kid, and the body cam footage, I don't know if you guys felt it, but it was definitely creepy. What are your opinions on this case?
Morbid Facts
Definitely
about
creepy.
Mike Tyson, Part 2. While visiting a zoo in the late 1980s, Tyson noticed an alpha silverback gorilla bullying all the others. He offered the zookeeper 10 grand to open the gorilla cage so that he could go in there and smash that silverback snot box. Luckily for the gorilla, the worker declined the offer. Here's a 1997 photo of Las Vegas police facing Mike Tyson after he'd just bitten off the ear of Evander Holyfield. Tyson claimed he was in a primal blacked out state and literally wanted to kill his opponent. Mike had 6 biological children, but his little girl Exodus tragically died when she was only 4 years old. In 2009, Exodus was playing on a treadmill when she accidentally died from strangulation after falling and catching her neck on a power cord. 3 years after signing with Don King, Tyson didn't even know that he had a fan club. When he finally went there, he found a letter from a woman asking if Tyson could call her dying little boy. Tyson immediately called, hung up, cursed out Don King, then started to cry. He said that the call was 1 year too late.
Man, Mike Tyson had a crazy life. If you think about it, he started that one man versus 100 gorillas thing. He's the OG.
These are some truly unsettling facts, and I found all these on Reddit. Number 1, the world's loneliest whale. There's a whale that resides deep in the ocean that has been singing a song for years, but no other whales can understand it. The reason is because this whale's voice is so deep that it's too low for any other whale to hear. And he's been calling out trying to find a mate or a family member for years now, but nobody can hear him or find him. So he's been swimming deep in the ocean by himself for so long. And it's because of this that scientists have called him the world's loneliest whale. Number 2, Abraham Lincoln. Now, we all know Abraham Lincoln. He was like our 15th or 16th president or something like that, had a crazy beard, and he was assassinated. But this is a very unsettling fact about him. The 3 days leading up to the fateful night where Abraham Lincoln would be assassinated, Lincoln had had nightmares detailing his assassination. And we know this because his bodyguard, who was named Crook, actually detailed this entire thing. Lincoln had told Crook about all these nightmares, and Crook begged him not to go to the theater. And all that Lincoln said in return was, "Goodbye, Crook." And he left. And the reason why this was weird was because Crook said every single time that Abe had left, he would always say good night, not goodbye. But he could tell that Abe knew this would be the last time they saw each other. And finally, emergency broadcast. Now, we all know what an emergency broadcast is, but in the event of the world ending, CNN has a pre-recorded emergency broadcast from the 1990s that would kind of be like a farewell to everyone. They have this ready to play just in case that fateful day comes, and that to me is truly horrifying, which is why it's perfect for today's video.
So I've been to Thailand, and I can tell you, not only is this a way of life in some places, this is not the furthest it can go. It's a story you've heard before, with an animal losing its natural to people building cities on top of their ancestral avenues. Yeah, except elephants are smart enough to do something about it. Imagine over the hedge, but if the entire cast was 10,000 pounds plus. It's basically living with giant overachieving raccoons that can also turn you 2D, and you don't realize how stealthy a living tank is, till you realize they live their lives tiptoeing, which is why the chances you get carjacked by an elephant are almost zero. Unless you're driving in Thailand. In some parts, elephants have memorized the paths of sugarcane trucks and will literally block the entire road like a one-man toll. Only after they take their share of sugarcane do they let the driver go on their way. And the main guy responsible is this bull they named, of course, the Dawn. And there is no dodging the Dawn because the spongy material in their feet can detect low-frequency vibrations from miles away, so they can clock things like an earthquake before it hits or a truck carrying goodies. But the best part is, even though Dawn could probably empty the entire truck, he always takes enough food to feed himself, but not so much that the drivers have to do something about it. Basically, he's just a part of life, and he's even taught other bulls to use the same discernment. It doesn't always go down like that. The elephant-human conflict often gets both sides relieved from the senses, but that is the most professional carjacking I've ever seen. Just light work for the smartest thing alive without thumbs. The more you know, and just for the record, there is definitely an elephant in here.
Here's a test to see if you or someone you know has arachnophobia. Arachnophobia is the extreme fear of spiders. At level 1, we have the daddy long legs. When I find one of these spiders in my basement, it freaks me out. It's definitely the legs, but if this freaked you out, don't watch level 2. Okay, at level 2 we have this spider. I don't know why, but it feels like it's looking right at me. This one honestly makes me super uncomfortable, so we're going to level 3. Yeah, this one freaks me out. One of the biggest things about spiders that I'm afraid of is them biting me, and this captures that perfectly. If you passed all the levels, congrats. Make sure you send this to a friend to see if they can.
I passed, but like you said,
in 2005, a 37-year-old man from Houston, Texas decided to go to the beach to fish. The sand on this beach was super compact, meaning that it kind of felt like concrete. So it wasn't uncommon for people to take their cars on this beach. And on this specific day, John decided to drive his truck all the way up close to the shore where he unloaded and began to fish. He waded into the water so that he was about waist deep and began to fish. After a few hours of fishing, the weather started to get a little worse. And John, who had been out there for most of the day at this point, was beginning to feel a little bit tired. So he decided that he would take a nap. But instead of taking a nap inside of his truck, which was right next to him, he decided to crawl underneath it and sleep under the truck. And soon John drifted to sleep. Hours went by and soon it was dark outside. Unfortunately, while John was sleeping, the tide came up and his truck began to sink in the soft sand. And in doing this, it crushed him to death.
Why would he climb up under his truck and sleep on a beach? That makes no sense at all. The car is right there.
So Amy Slayton from TLC's 1,000-Pound Sisters was just arrested, and the way she was arrested is an actual fever dream. Like, honestly, I feel bad because if this goes the wrong way, she could lose custody of her children. So on Labor Day, Amy Slayton, her boyfriend, and 2 children went to a safari park in Alamo, Tennessee. It's basically like a drive-through zoo where you can feed the animals and pet them if they let you. We don't know exactly how it went down yet, but sources are saying that Amy was bit by one of the camels. I don't know if the injury was so bad that Amy called the police or if it's just the park's policy to call the authorities anytime someone is bit by an animal, but the police were called, and when they approached Amy's car, they immediately smelled some green flour, if you know what I mean. And when the authorities looked inside, they allegedly saw the flour and some special mushrooms in plain sight. Amy and her boyfriend Brian Lavorne faced charges of illegal possession of Schedule 1 and Schedule 6, and because the children were in the car, they also faced 2 counts of child endangerment. We know that the children are safe and staying with Amy's family members. But Tennessee's Child Protective Services are still investigating, so this could end very badly for Amy. And as of now, I'm pretty sure Amy is still in the Crockett County Jail on a $10,000 bond. I am unaware if 1,000-Pound Sisters is even filming right now, but if you are, let me know in the comments.
They put a 3-year-old in a shed without water or electricity, and now this couple was just arrested in Georgia for doing so. On top of that, the shed was apparently absolutely disgusting. Their charges include child cruelty, which makes sense. They did leave a 3-year-old in the shed with nothing. And they didn't leave him in there for like a day or 2. They left him in there for like 2 to 4 weeks. He was unsupervised, unwashed. He didn't even have clothes. Authorities have not revealed whether or not, these 2 are the parents or not. They've also not revealed how they even knew the child was being held in this shed, so it must have been some anonymous tip or something. The neighbors were not surprised about the child cruelty charges or how nasty the shed was. Neighbors made a comment on how they weren't surprised given the lifestyle they were living. I'm assuming by that statement these people were nasty inside and out. All we can do now is hope the child can recover from this and go to a happy family. If I'm guessing, these 2 will probably go to jail 5 to 10 years, but if you're from Georgia, let me know if you guys have heard about this story. I think this happened near Atlanta. What are your general opinions on the story? Do you guys think the child was also related to them or not? Maybe it was a nephew or something, I don't know.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 1. The middle of nowhere is an actual place within New Mexico. The legend goes that an elderly couple lived out there with their dog and witnessed many strange and bizarre things. One night, they reported seeing a strange creature that they identified as a skinwalker. After reporting this to the police, the family had vanished under strange circumstances. Their dog, however, was left behind. This is the story that Courage the Cowardly Dog was based off of. Like and follow for more.
The more you know. I never knew that. I watched that as a kid. Man, this pieces of media are based off true stories, man. And get your mind thinking.
Here's some crazy history that you didn't learn in school. A woman back in 1986 earned her helicopter pilot's license, rented a helicopter, flew it over a prison to rescue her husband, a convicted bank robber, on the roof. You know, whatever it takes, I guess. 2 million people from Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania formed a 600-kilometer human chain that united all 3 countries to show the world their desire to leave the Soviet Union. A mechanic heroically fixed a plane's landing gear mid-flight from a moving car in 1985. A person nicknamed Sober Sue drew people out to see her in the early 1900s because she never smiled. A theater literally offered $1,000, which was a lot of money back then, to anyone who could make her laugh, attracting even the most famous comedians. It later came out that Sober Sue suffered from facial paralysis, making it impossible for her to smile. Neptune was only discovered after astronomers noticed Uranus's orbit wobbling. Mathematicians predicted where it was by using Newton's laws, and a telescope confirmed that Neptune was right where they thought it was. And the fact that it was in the 1800s, that's so cool.
Morbid Facts, part...
You don't know what part?
'69. The Grinch as a kid was played by an 18-year-old actor with dwarfism who was barely 3 feet tall. Sadly, he died of heart failure just 2 years after the movie was released. A woman posted this photo to Reddit to show the progression of Alzheimer's through her mother's crocheting. From left to right, the squares show her mother's decline over a 2-year span. When the mummy of Ramses II was transported to France in 1974, it was issued an Egyptian passport that listed his occupation as deceased king. A designer of the Titanic named Thomas Andrews was on board as it sank. His original design included more safety features such as watertight compartments and twice as many lifeboats. But his ideas were rejected because others thought that the extra safety features would make the ship look ugly. He spent his last moments helping to evacuate passengers, and his body was never recovered.
This 2-year-old went missing in New York City, and now they're suspecting that his father threw him into the river. Police are now diving in the Bronx right now to try to find him. The child was last seen in early May with the father, so obviously he's suspect number 1 right now, but he's being suspicious. The mother asked him about where her son is, and he pulled out a knife on her just a couple days ago on June 7th. He went missing on May 10th at 10 p.m. He was last seen leaving a family get-together with his father. The mother also filed a police report that same night, so I think she knew something was going on here. The mother contacted police again after the knife was pulled out on her. The father was brought to court on Monday, June 9th, and when asked about the child's whereabouts, he would not say anything at all. He didn't have an alibi, he didn't have a good excuse or anything, so he's still in custody. They're not letting him leave. The father is 20 years old. I'm assuming the mother's probably around the same age. And like I said, they have a 2-year-old together. Maybe the stress of being a young dad sent him over the edge and he decided to kill his kid. But even so, they have 50-50 custody. Why not just give the mother 100% custody and let the kid live? Like I said in the beginning, they are searching the Bronx River right now to try to find him. That's where they think he was thrown into. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Or what are your general opinions on this story?
Imagine hating your family so much that you fake your own death to run away with another woman. Well, that's exactly what this man did. On August 11, Ryan Borgward went on a fishing trip, and that was the last time his wife and 3 kids saw him. His wife reported him missing, and when police went to go look for him, they found his kayak upside down, his car still parked, and his cell phone in the water. So obviously police thought that there was an accident and he drowned, so they had a search team look for him in the water, but they couldn't find him. But then in October, 2 months after he disappeared, police found out that he crossed over into Canada just a few days after he went missing. So imagine, at first the family's devastated because they think that their father is dead, but then they find out that he's alive and he's in Canada. When police got a hold of his laptop, they found out that this man had been plotting how to fake his death for months. He went about getting a new passport, purchased a $375,000 life insurance policy. He wiped out everything from his computer and even changed the emails linked to his bank accounts. But it gets even crazier because police found out that he sent money to a foreign account, and then they find out that he was in contact with a Russian woman this entire time. So did he leave his family to start a new life? But then everything kind of went downhill for him because he sent police a video telling them that he was safe and alive and there's nothing to be worried about. Then he decided to return to Wisconsin a couple of days ago and he was arrested for faking his own death. So my question is, what made him come back? Did his relationship with this woman not work out?
And I'm gonna tell you
maybe he found out the grass isn't, green on the other side. He left his whole family, went to the most extremes to do it, man. Faking your own death just to get away from your family. You couldn't just break it off, get a divorce like normal people. He went to the utmost extremes, man. I don't know what was going on there.
Exactly why that deer put the hooves on that woman, and how you can avoid getting violated by venison. So a deer, or really just grazing or hunting animals in general, they'll often leave their deer dependents hidden in one spot for most of the day while they feed themselves. They'll leave the fawn for hours and really only stop by a couple times a day to nurse or groom them. It's actually why the baby Bambis of the world have spots. It breaks up their outline and helps them hide from threats to minor safety. Mama deer will even lick around the baby's undertail area to make it pee and poop, which the mother will eat to minimize the newborn scent, because sometimes motherhood is just a sandwich of shiitake mushrooms. Now what does that have to do with old girl getting the beats put on her like Afro music? You remember how people used to say you should never touch a baby bird because your scent means its mother will abandon it? Well, it's a myth. Most birds can't smell, but it's actually because a lot of the times the fledgling out of the nest is perfectly fine, and the myth is to keep kids from accidentally killing baby birds with kindness. The difference is, in a world of fight or flight, deer can't fly. Also, because there's obviously less predators around us, deer get real lazy with their hiding spots, and I know that because I literally took this video a year ago of a baby deer out in the open, and despite my crippling lesser judgment, I didn't touch him, I didn't even get close to him, and a couple hours later his mama and friends came to pick him up. That's the difference between walking away and getting the brakes beaten off you by a boxing ass Bambi. The more you know. Actually no, because I got curious, looked it up, and it's somehow worse because woman took a picture of a deer giving birth, so the more she knows.
3 people that you won't believe exist. This Indian woman has a condition that makes her grow extra fingers and extra toes inside the womb. Altogether, this woman has 31 fingers and toes. And this person's huge jaws is actually from a medical condition. The condition is called cherubism. Doctors were shocked when this man walked into the emergency room with severe chest pain. And after some ultrasounds to see what was causing his pain, they actually found out that this man had 2 hearts.
This video is going to change how you see the world. This map shows how much forest is covering each state, and honestly, 71% Alabama surprises me. I didn't realize it had that much forest. 89% in Maine, compared to what I know of in Washington and Oregon being around 50%, also blows my mind. I've never been to the Northeast other than New York. This map shows which country is closest to where you live in the United States. Being in Jacksonville, Florida, I live near the Bahamas. I actually put this map up on my Facebook page a few months ago, and everyone thought that I was suggesting that Mexico should take over that part of America, Canada should take over all of the north part of America, Cuba should only take Floribama, just nothing else, just that little spot, you know? Because why not? This map gives us a better idea of what the true size is of each country on Earth without it stretching like crazy. Like, Canada kind of looks like the same size as the United States here. Russia isn't crazy big. Honestly, it's really Africa that's just like the majority of the world.
One Direction's Liam Payne is reportedly dead after falling off a 3-story balcony. When the news first broke, a lot of people, including myself, thought that this was a hoax. But TMZ has since published images showing portions of his body, and the tattoos are matching up. Several witnesses also saw Liam fall from his 3rd-story balcony. We still don't know if the incident happened shortly after 5 p.m. Witnesses say that Liam was acting erratic in the hotel lobby earlier. He apparently smashed his laptop and had to be carried back to his room. We still don't know if someone was in the room with him or if he was completely alone. I'm assuming Liam was still in Argentina because of Niall Horan's concert earlier this month, where he reunited with all of the One Direction members. In the summer of 2021, Liam revealed his struggles with alcohol and prescription drugs, relation that this outburst had to do with his ex-fiancée. Her attorney has been trying to send him a cease and desist to stop him from contacting her. All in all, we really don't know if this was an accident or intentional or what caused it. If there's any more breaking news or updates, I will leave a comment below.
How rare is your body? 83.7% of people can roll their tongue, but only 14.7% can make a clover out of their tongue. Only 4% of people have an outie belly button. Believe it or not, doctors can't choose if you have an innie or an outie. It just kind of happens. 10% of people have something called Morton's toe. And this is where your big toe is shorter than the toe next to it. The Statue of Liberty actually has a Morton's toe. I don't know if you knew that. 1% of people have a double row of eyelashes. Although a lot of people would probably be jealous over this, it actually causes a ton of problems. Next, 2% of people have naturally red hair. In order for a child to have this hair color, both parents must possess the gene.
Wow. So gingers are rare. Find yourself a ginger, man. Treat him right. It's a rare breed.
Scary Facts That Will Blow Your Mind, Part 2. The Hoia Baciu Forest is considered the most haunted forest in all of Romania. Hundreds of people have gone missing within these woods, among other things like screams, laughter, babies crying, people being attacked by unseen paranormal forces, strange balls of light, UFOs, and in the very center of the forest lies a clearing where no plant life will grow. It is believed that this spot is a portal to another dimension. What do you think? Like and follow for more.
There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein, and there are hundreds of victims, and no one victim will ever get released.
So we already know that Attorney General Pam Bondi's release of the Epstein files was a pure smokescreen. I mean, I could have told you that months before this even happened. Obviously, they're never going to release any documents that would implicate anybody, and the Epstein issue is an issue that no administration is ever going to be fully transparent in because it involves people from both parties. This is a nonpartisan issue. This is an us versus them issue. It is interesting, though, that she says in that clip that they have thousands of videos. Now, whether you want to believe her or not, that's totally up to you. But my question then is, why don't you release the names of the individuals that are seen in those videos? We all know for a fact that it's not only Epstein in those videos, and we know for a fact that Epstein was recording all of these things, recording his encounters and his guests' encounters with the minors that he was trafficking. So why don't you prosecute any of those people on the tapes? Republican or Democrat, I'm for both of them to be prosecuted. So why don't they just do it? If you want to hear me dive deep into Epstein, it was the first episode of my show, The Conspiracy File, which you can listen to on all podcasting platforms, or you can watch the show in video form on YouTube. And yes, my first episode was Epstein.
I don't think they're never going to release those files, like I said. That's just, it ain't going to happen.
This autistic teenager was left alone with his baby brother when the house burnt down.
Listening to both sides, question testimony. I believe the state has, in fact, met their burden. So therefore, I am going to find that there is probable cause to charge the individual with the found over for General Sessions Court for those charges.
17-year-old Jacob Morgan lives in South Carolina with his parents and 14-month-old brother Josh. He was diagnosed with autism, bipolar disorder, and had learning disabilities. Aside from that, he was a great older brother who loved giving Josh piggyback rides and making him laugh. In 2015, their parents left Jacob alone with Josh. Around 8 a.m., their entire trailer was in flames. Jacob then runs out to nearby neighbors begging for help while Josh is inside. Jacob tried to go back into that trailer to save him, but neighbors were not allowing him because they had no idea that Josh was still inside. As first responders arrived, Jacob was sobbing and banging his head, and unfortunately Josh did not survive. Since Jacob was the only one at home with Josh, he was interrogated for 5 hours without his parents or a lawyer. He kept switching his stories around, but with being autistic, the high stress was getting to him. At first he stated that maybe the fire happened because a pillow was leaned against the heater, but later on he revealed that he started little fires in different rooms because he was obsessed with flames. Even with this confession, everyone who knew Jacob knew that he would never want to hurt Josh. Ultimately, Jacob was arrested and he took a plea deal for involuntary manslaughter, third-degree arson, and unlawful neglect of a child. While he was in court, he was sobbing uncontrollably, stating that he didn't mean to hurt his little brother right before he was sentenced to 15 years in prison. In 2022, Jacob ended up being released to go live with his parents. Let me know what you guys think about this case.
That case has some twists and turns. Major twists and turns.
Here's the meaning behind beloved rappers' names. Starting off, we have X. He said his name revolves around the unknown in his life, but let's have a listen.
Right, so X Tentacion means unknown temptation. The significance of the X. For some time, the X was the only unknown numeral to me. So, Tentacion is temptation in Latin. So I actually just pushed the two together in unknown temptation because I feel as if that's what my life revolves around.
Next, we have Juice WRLD. His name was heavily inspired by Tupac and a misspelling. Let's have a listen.
The haircut, like the juice cut, like Tupac, the one that he had in the movie. I think WRLD came from me spelling it wrong. I think I was making like an account or something, and I spelled it wrong because world was actually taken. Like.
And finally, we have Lil Uzi Vert.
I already had the vert part. It was like vertical, like straight up. One day I was rapping and there was this guy. He was out there. He was like, "Oh man, you rap fast like a machine gun, like a little Uzi or something."
So they got those names.
She ate a poisonous cake that was left at her doorstep. 17-year-old Ana Neves was from Brazil, and she was described as a quiet girl who had a few close friends. Secretly, one of Anna's best friends was actually jealous of her, and she was planning something sinister. On May 30th of 2025, a guy delivered a package with a cake inside to Anna's home. Anna wasn't home at the time, so her sister took in the package. Anna arrived home later that evening around 6 p.m. and her sister was so excited to show her this cake because it had a note that said, "A treat for the most beautiful girl I've ever seen." Anna was flattered because she believed this was from a secret admirer, and as she was eating this cake, she had no idea that that was a big mistake. Less than an hour after eating that cake, she started to vomit violently and have severe diarrhea. The following day, her symptoms got worse and her father rushed her to the hospital. Medical staff told her that she had food poisoning, so she was given medicine and hooked up to an IV drip, and slowly she started to get better. Soon she was discharged and sent home because it seemed like she was back to normal. But later that day, once she was home, she fell on her bathroom floor and suffered a cardiac arrest. Once emergency services arrived to her home, she had passed away. Anna's family was trying to figure out how this could have even happened to her, and that's when Anna's sister remembered that there was a strange guy who had dropped off this delivery. Her family contacted the police and they were able to determine that this cake was bought at a local pastry shop named Menina Trufa. The owner of the shop spoke with police and she stated that an order was made for this cake and that an unknown delivery guy from an app had picked it up and delivered it. Police tracked down the guy who delivered this cake and he was able to get the address of the person who ordered this cake, and it ended up being Anna's best friend. That friend was brought in for questioning, and at first she denied everything and stated that she had nothing to do with her friend's death, but after hours of questioning with the police, she admitted to everything and stated that she had laced the cake with arsenic that she had bought online for $11.50. She stated that she only meant to scare Anna and didn't mean to harm her at all. She ended up stating that she did this to someone else by sending them a poisonous cake as well because two of her boyfriends left her for this girl. This other victim became extremely ill, but fortunately she survived. This friend was sent to a young offenders institution and her identity is currently being hidden and there is no updates on any kind of sentencing.
This is the most lawless island on Earth. It's illegal for anyone, including law enforcement, to go there, as many attempts have been made and eventually we just gave up. It's called North Sentinel Island, off the coast of India, and it's home to one of the last uncontacted tribes in the world, the Sentinelese. And we managed to catch a glimpse of what life looks like for them. Now, uncontacted tribes are more common than you think, with about 100 remaining in small pockets around the world. Nomadic hunter-gatherers who never adapted to modern civilization and have been living the same way for literally tens of thousands of years. Most of them live in the Amazon rainforest in South America and may occasionally come across signs of modern society like explorers or equipment left behind by them. What makes North Sentinel Island so dangerous is that it's a remote island surrounded by the ocean, which is all their inhabitants have known for their entire history, which according to studies is about 60,000 years. And sits over 500 kilometers away from its closest mainland civilization, Myanmar. Although its closest neighbor, the nearby Indian territory of the Andaman Islands, is just about 30 kilometers away. There have been a few incidents of outsiders visiting them, and it almost never ends well. Anthropologists have been dying to get a closer look at them, but anytime boats or helicopters get close to the island, they get attacked by spears and arrows by the Sentinelese. First recorded instance was in 1867, when an Indian merchant ship was wrecked on the island and the passengers were immediately attacked by bows and arrows. They managed to fend themselves off for a whole week before they were rescued. In 1974, a film crew shooting a documentary visited the island with gifts, from which the Sentinelese were caught on camera for the very first time. But they still attacked them when they got too close. On Google Maps, you can see a transport ship that got wrecked on the island in 1981, potentially kickstarting an Iron Age for these people. Then, in 1991, the first ever peaceful contact was made by anthropologist T.N. Pandit, who sent gifts of coconuts to the island for a whole 24 years before the tribe finally finally accepted him. They actually ended up having quite a few friendly close encounters with each other over the next several weeks, and to this day remains the closest we've ever gotten to befriending them, because they sure switched up the next time we came back. In 2006, 2 men fell asleep in a fishing boat that drifted too close to the island, and the Sentinelese attacked and ended their lives with arrows in their sleep. After this incident, a 5-kilometer exclusion zone was made around the island, making it illegal for anyone to visit. As recently as 2018, a missionary illegally visited the island on a fishing boat to spread Christianity among the tribe. He tried multiple times to make peaceful contact once again, and even had his Bible shot by an arrow, recording it all down in his journal, which was recovered from his boat. But then he found out exactly why this island is off limits. He wrote his last journal entry of heading onto the island and was never seen again, presumed either captured and or ended by the tribe. Rest in peace, John Allen Chow. Around the same time, never before seen drone footage taken deeper inland of the island was captured up close for the very first time, showing us how they live, their shelters, pathways, and even a large dome that could serve as a marketplace, a theater, or even a religious site of sorts. And also captured the Sentinelese people themselves in their natural habitat, each one of them curiously looking up at the drone, which they probably thought was a demon or maybe even a god that may become part of their culture's mythology in the centuries to come.
Save your life. Always keep a pack of gum with you. Gum can help relieve stress and suppress your appetite during emergencies. And it can also be used as a glue substitute. Remember the survival rules of 3s. First, you can only survive for around 3 minutes without air, and only 3 days without water. And finally, 3 weeks without food. This will help you rank your needs in case of emergencies. If you're walking to your car in a dark place, have your keys ready in your hand. It will be much easier for you to get in your car quickly. And if you're attacked, you can use your keys as a weapon. And don't forget, no matter how thirsty you are, do not eat large amount of snow. Too much cold ice in your stomach can cause you to die from hypothermia, so melt the ice before drinking it.
Who will be eating snow?
When police arrived at Zoraida and Alberto's home, they discovered a horrific scene. Zoraida and Alberto and their 2 young sons, who were only 10 and 7 years old, as well as their 3 dogs, they were all brutally murdered. Who would want this entire family gone? Zoraida and her family's death was part of a complicated and disturbing plot involving Zoraida's affair with a man named Nathaniel Huey Jr. But here's the thing, Nathaniel wasn't the only person involved in this disturbing and evil plot. Zoraida and Nathaniel met at work. They knew each other for about a year and started an affair in May 2023. Zoraida was married to her husband Alberto. They had 2 kids. Nathaniel, on the other hand, was in a 10+ year relationship with a woman named Ermelinda Palomo. For some time, they thought that no one knew about their affair, but they were wrong. At some point during their affair, Nathaniel's fiancée, Ermelinda, found out about what was going on, but instead of her completely losing it and confronting him, she kept it a secret. But she would come up with this crazy and disturbing plot to get revenge. And I'm not talking about revenge against Nathaniel necessarily. She targeted Zoraida and her family. Ermelinda began creating various social media accounts and pretended to be someone from the Mexican cartel. I know, this is crazy, psychotic, and it's really difficult to believe, but this is just what was going on.
Crazy things happening in the world.
Bro, man, she took catfishing to a whole new level. Man, I'm trying to tell you guys, seekers, bro. Beware of catfishes, man. You never know what will unfold, man, by messing with one of them. You always gotta check out their identity. You know who you talk to online.
Right now. A bear that attacked luxury cars in LA was actually a person in a costume, according to insurance investigators. Passengers have a new fear unlocked because the plane they were on flew for 9 hours and then landed back at the same airport they came from. Mike Tyson reminded a child reporter that she too will die someday. A police officer pulled over his own boss for speeding. A former inmate sued Oklahoma jail officers for their baby shark torture tactic. A woman who dropped her phone in between 2 boulders got stuck upside down trying to get it. A fire station burned down in Germany after there was no fire detection system installed. The latest study shows that self-driving cars are safer than humans driving cars unless it's dawn, dusk, or it's trying to turn. A new alleged potato cartel is being accused of conspiring to raise the price of frozen fries and tater tots across the United States.
Wouldn't surprise me, man. We gotta watch out for the potato cartel. Well, money's involved.
A photo of 2 sisters. Where did this nun come from? explanation.
Coffee's only a dime.
The girl in the red lost her footing while posing for a picture and fell into Niagara Falls.
People are saying your favorite celebrities are hanging out with a witch. As you can see, this woman is pretty friendly with a lot of celebrities. A$AP Rocky, Kim Kardashian, Kanye, even Amigos. But why are they so deeply connected with this woman? Her name is Michelle Lemmy, and it says she's a fashion designer, film producer, etc. But she's also married to Rick Owens, who is known as the Dark Lord of fashion. Look, here she is even wearing his head as a purse. Oh, and she's very close to Marina Abramovich, whose art is a little demonic. I mean, she once threw a party with a human-shaped cake. I kid you not. Look at this. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this just a connection for fashion, or is there something more darker going on? And make sure you guys hit that follow button, because my next video will blow your mind.
This is why you these designer brands, man. Doesn't surprise me. We all remember what happened with the I guess the Balenciaga brand and that stuff came out. So now we gotta beware of Rick Owens and whatever she be freaking designing. I ain't gonna lie, we probably gonna have to stay away from those designer seekers. Do any of you guys seekers wear designers? I would be curious to know, and if you do, what brand. But you never know, man. The story about what goes behind those brands, man.
You should always lock your doors. A junior in high school was home alone working on a paper while his parents were out to dinner. All night he sits with his back to his door, sitting at his desk with his noise-canceling headphones on. Around 11 o'clock he takes his headphones off at the same time his parents are returning to the house, and he hears his mom from downstairs yell, "Hey Adrian, what happened?" Confused, he runs downstairs and sees right away what she's looking at. Muddy footprints all over the rug. He tells her, "I didn't leave my desk." And then they realize someone must have broken in. They look at the footprints and there's none leaving the house. They're worried someone's still in the house, so they run into the garage, terrified, call the police. Police arrive and they don't find anyone in the house, but they do make a chilling discovery upstairs. The police bring them to the kid's bedroom door, which had been left open all night, and they point to the message written on it in Sharpie. This is the actual transcript of what was written on his door, which means for nearly 2 hours, someone stood in this kid's doorway watching him.
What? He didn't even notice?
Morbid Facts,
Be aware.
Part 421. Christine Palillo was a bullied outcast at school until two popular girls befriended her and gave her a makeover, helping her achieve the title of Miss Irresistible from her school's student body. But just a few months later, Christine and her drug addict boyfriend would end up brutally murdering the girls and two others in a botched drug deal. One of the girls tried desperately crawling to her phone after being shot in the groin, until Christine bashed her skull in with the butt of her revolver. Serial killer Dennis Rader used to install security systems for homeowners. Many of his clients wanted the security systems to keep the BTK killer from ever entering their homes, unaware that he was in fact the one installing them. In 2017, Glenna Durham killed her husband after shooting him 5 times. Soon afterwards, the couple's pet African gray parrot started repeating the words "don't effing shoot" in the husband's voice. These were assumed to be the husband's last words, and the woman was eventually found guilty of first-degree murder.
The parrot
Baffling
got her?
Butterfly Effects, Part 4. In 1928, a man from London left his home for a 2-week vacation at the beach. When he returned home, he noticed a horrific smell, but he didn't know where it was coming from. He eventually found an old piece of cheese that was covered in mold. He examined the cheese under a microscope, and he noticed that there were no bacteria around the mold. That mold led to the discovery of antibiotics, which have saved over 200 million lives.
Whoa. So mold is where we get antibiotics from?
Strangest addictions people have. Nicole eats drywall.
Okay.
Jennifer eats the foam inside of beds and couch cushions.
Wow.
Kinna eats toilet paper. Bria eats sand.
How? What the?
Teresa eats 2 pounds of rock a day.
Okay, that's just, to me, that seems impossible. 2 pounds at that?
Cassie
eats her late husband's ashes to mourn him.
Forbidden places
That takes the cake.
never visit. Snake Island is an island off of the coast of Brazil, filled with deadly snakes. Rising sea levels cause this piece of land to become an island, allowing for the snakes to flourish in their own environment. There are now up to 5 snakes every square meter, and you are not allowed to go here. In Svalbard, Norway, there is a global seed vault, aka the Doomsday Vault. It is the world's seed bank, storing samples of crops from all over the world just in case of a global catastrophe. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang in China holds an army of warriors made of clay. It protects the burial spot of the first emperor of China who died in 210 BC, and we only discovered this tomb in 1974. Paveglia Island in Italy was used to exile hundreds of thousands of victims of the plague. It is said to be one of the most haunted places on Earth, and a dark local legend says that 50% of the soil is made up of human remains. Follow for more.
Whoa. We asking that place off of Italy.
This is a scary story about the school trip. An entire class of 6th graders went on a school trip one day. Everybody was taking pictures with their phones and cameras and having such a great time. But when they all got back to school, they started looking through all the photos they took, when suddenly one of the girls screamed, "Oh my god, what is that?" In the picture, one of the boys in the class was sitting on the bus, and nothing seemed strange about the photo until you looked at his reflection in the window. His face in the reflection looked like it was yellow and bulging, and completely mutating. Also, there was a white floating figure behind him in the reflection. Everybody turned the photo upside down and realized it was a human skull, and it was horrific. And when the boy saw the photo of himself, he immediately burst into tears and had a panic attack. The teacher then took the boy to the nurse's office, and the principal banned everybody from speaking about the strange photo ever again. And to make this even scarier, 7 days later, the boy died from a brain tumor. The photo is said to be on the internet somewhere, but I don't recommend looking for it.
Scary humans recorded by cameras.
Morbid Facts, Part 446. An X-ray revealed that a 300-year-old Mexican statue of Jesus has real human teeth. They're believed to have been donated by worshippers as a way to get closer to the religious figure. After killing his girlfriend with a hatchet, 30-year-old Philadelphia man William Kemmler became the first person to be executed by electric chair. While it was supposed to demonstrate the effectiveness and humanity of electrocution, the punishment went horribly wrong. They underestimated the amount of electricity needed to quickly and painlessly end a man's life, so Kemmler was still conscious after the first shock. When physicians noticed he was still breathing in agony, they hit him with a second shock that was more powerful, causing his entire body to convulse violently and start smoking. Kemmler ended up with bubbling skin, melted eyes, and a foaming mouth, and the entire room reeked of burning flesh as many spectators ended up passing out from the horror. But despite this, the electric chair would still continue to be used for more than 100 years afterwards.
Once you introduce something to society, it's hard to put that genie back into the bottle.
This mysterious creature was captured on a trail cam. At first, it looks a lot like a wolf, but looking more closely, the front legs appear to have elongated fingers, unlike any species of dog or wolf. The face, in particular, the nose and teeth of the creature appear almost human-like. Could this be a rare sighting of the mythological creature known as a werewolf? In folklore, a werewolf is an individual who can shape-shift into a wolf, either purposely or after being placed under a curse or a bite from another werewolf, with the transformation occurring on the night of a full moon.
Terrifier 4 will be the last movie
Werewolf confirmed?
That's what everybody online is saying, and you guys could not be more wrong. Damien Leone coming out yesterday saying, look, I don't have a definitive answer on how many movies we're going to make, but I personally want to make 1 to 2 more. Rest assured, the ending will be epic and terrifying. Now look, man, we've seen this before. We know this all too well. On top of the fact that Terrifier 3 made over $18 million made on a $2 million budget. I don't ever want people to look at Terrifier as a money grab, but as long as the movies are pumping and doing insanely well at the box office, the saga ain't ending. And that's not a hit at them at all, because I absolutely love the franchise and I love this movie. But all in all, you have to think about it. When money is involved, things will be made. As I said, we've seen this before. My only fear is that Art the Clown is going to turn into a glorified poster boy, pretty much like Jason and Michael. We got way too many movies. They all continue to overlap with reboots, and this person making it and that person
making, and in my personal opinion, made kind of a mockery of the whole entire franchise. Granted, some movies are good, some of the reboots are good, but everybody puts their own twist on it. We don't need another twist on Art the Clown. We do not need another person playing Art the Clown. David Howard Thornton is Art the Clown. If anybody else ever plays Art the Clown, it's not going to be the same. Damien Leone's the director, no one else. I'm hoping Art the Clown doesn't turn into another Jason and Michael, but it might happen.
This couple in California
So just 5
would set up
movies, that's
fake
it?
bikes, wait until somebody would steal it, and then beat them up with baseball bats and record it and post it onto YouTube. This happened all the way back in 2020, and they really did not like bike thieves, apparently. This happened in Fresno, California, and they would brag about it to their neighbors. Even crazier, they wouldn't even bother to call the police after they assaulted them or when they caught the thieves. They really just wanted to beat them up with these metal baseball bats. Apparently they were victims of break-ins and home invasions and then theft. They then decided to take the law into their own hands because they thought nothing was really getting done for them. Now obviously the YouTube videos have since been taken down. That's kind of how they got caught, because of YouTube and the bragging to their neighbors. 4 victims have come forward, but the police say there's probably more. Because honestly, who's gonna admit, yeah, I was stealing a bike and then I got beat up? Both suspects were charged and put into jail, but they bailed out after. The neighbors did admit there was also a high crime rate in that neighborhood for some reason. Neighbors that just moved there said their car was broken into like the first day they were there. But let me know what you guys think about the story. Were they right to do this or not?
Most people...
Yeah, but they ain't right or they're in the wrong, man. Because like you said, who's going to come to the cops and be like, yeah, I got beat up because I was stealing the bike? It's like, I guess, all that crime just like push them to the edge, man. They became some vigilantes, bro. The vigilante period, man. Taking the law to their own hands. But they posted it on YouTube and was bragging about it, so they was bound to get caught. But were they in the right or were they in the wrong? That's going to be an interesting topic down below.
People believe these 3 things will save your life. They don't. Let's pretend that you're on vacation with some friends in this cabin, and you hear on the news that there's actually a killer on the loose in the woods surrounding your cabin. What do? Instinctively, you're going to want to ditch your friends and just start running into the woods. No shoes, no weapons, no cell phone, no sense of where you're going. But that's actually a terrible idea because the killer is in the woods, and you'd be putting yourself more in harm's way, not less. So you decide to stay put, and then you remember that your friend drove you all to the cabin in their brand new Lamborghini that was working like 5 minutes ago. So why can't you just pile into that and drive away to safety? The problem with that is anytime you're in a cabin in the woods and there's a killer on the loose around your cabin, even if it's a brand new car, it's not going to start. So don't even go out and try it. You're just sitting in the cabin doing nothing when all of a sudden you feel like someone could be watching you and you want to turn around and make sure no one is. Don't turn around, because if you do, the killer will magically appear behind you.
Is that true?
Forbidden live streams. Hi, my name is Ethan, and we are about to be talking about a dark topic. The first live stream ever was made in 1993, and the first crime ever live streamed was in 2008, and that was the Akihabara massacre. But as you guys know, being that the dark web was made in 2000, I'm sure that there was other crimes live streamed long before 2008. Hundreds of crimes featuring murders, R-word, trafficking, SA were all streamed via YouTube, dark web, Facebook, Instagram, and so many more. What is even more chilling about these live streams is some sites, more on the dark web, have an actual membership program, and that's basically where people pay to watch others just be utterly tortured. Needless to say, live streaming as a whole can be a great platform unless it gets into the wrong person's hands.
What's live stream services like that, man? We got a couple, but I think we know, man.
Hannah Kobayashi went missing when she was traveling from Hawaii to LA just last month. She was scheduled to be on her connecting flight on November 8th in New York, however she missed it. Days later, after she sent some disturbing texts to her family, she went missing. She went completely off the grid. The weird thing is, right after that, police got a footage of her crossing into the border into Mexico. This is 125 miles away from Los Angeles. And this happened on November 12th, so 4 days after she supposedly missed her flight. A missing persons report was filed. Her family went searching for her, as well as authorities and volunteers. Her father flew all the way from Hawaii to LA to join these search efforts. Her father was then found dead in a parking lot in Los Angeles. It was confirmed that he did take his own life. Apparently, the stress of losing his daughter Hannah got to him so badly. Hannah was then located about a month later in Mexico after going off the grid. Police are now calling her disappearance as a voluntary disappearance. However, because of this voluntary disappearance and because of the lack of communication between her her and her family. This stressed everybody out, especially her father, and this led to the circumstances we're in now. In this case, a simple text from her would have probably saved her father's life if she just told them she was going off the grid. Let me know your thoughts about this story. People are calling for her to be charged on this. Do you agree with that?
Disney princesses without makeup.
Look what happened.
Elsa. Jasmine. Snow White.
When I was a kid, I didn't even think about it, but yeah, but they were wearing makeup.
Tiana.
Black don't crap.
Mulan. Pocahontas. Cinderella. Ariel. Belle.
Belle, what princess is she? I don't know about her. It's definitely, yeah, or edit. Got some creepy vibes off of it though. Nah, get that kid away from that evil spirit. We don't do that.
People with the most unusual skin color. 1. Lola Chuo. Lola Chuo is a teen with very dark skin and striking doll-like features. 2. Nastya Zhitkova. Nastya Zhitkova is a Russian model with albinism who has very pale skin and hair. 3. Connie Chu. Connie Chu is the first albino fashion model and is originally from Hong Kong. 4. Ralph Souffrant. Ralph Souffrant is a model from Haiti with very dark skin and natural freckles. 5. Koudia Diop. Koudia Diop is a model from Senegal who has extremely dark skin and is called the Melanin Goddess. 6. Winnie Harlow. Winnie Harlow is a Canadian model with vitiligo, which causes white patches on her skin. 7. Amina Ependieva. Amina Ependieva is a Russian girl with albinism and heterochromia, different colored eyes.
People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident. Jason Padgett was a party animal who hated school and got terrible grades. But one day, 2 men savagely robbed and attacked Jason outside of a karaoke bar, leaving him with a severe concussion. The concussion caused him to become a mathematical genius and made him learn fractal geometry, which he had never been taught before. When Derek Amato was 39 years old, he hit his head after diving into a swimming pool and was diagnosed with a concussion and 35% hearing loss. After that, Derek began to see black and white keys in his head, and out of nowhere, he began to play the piano like an expert. Ben McMahon was in a car accident in 2015 and fell into a coma for a week. When he woke up, he could speak perfect Chinese even though he had only learned the basics as a child. Tony Cicerio was struck by lightning after making a call in a phone booth. Within a couple of days, he was addicted to music, which he wasn't before. After trying the piano, he became a musical artist, composing his own music.
Man, they were like getting real life superpowers, bro.
Top 3 urban legends that turned out to be true. Part 1. Number 3. The sewer crocodile. One of the most famous urban legends is about a crocodile living in the city sewers. While it may sound unbelievable, there have been several cases where crocodiles have been found in sewer systems. For example, in 2010, a young crocodile was discovered in the sewers of New York City, confirming the truth behind this urban legend. Number 2. Spiders and bananas. According to this urban legend, venomous spiders frequently hide in imported banana bunches. This story has proven to be true on multiple occasions. In 2005, a British family found a venomous spider, known as the Brazilian wandering spider, in a bunch of bananas they purchased from a supermarket. This case confirmed that there is some truth to this urban legend. Number 1. The killer. Hiding in the back seat. This urban legend tells the story of a psychopathic killer who hides in the back seat of a person's car and attacks when they are distracted. While it's difficult to find specific cases that exactly match this legend, There have been incidents where dangerous individuals have gained access to the backseat of cars and attacked their occupants. These events have confirmed the importance of being cautious and checking the inside of one's car.
So I found these conspiracy theories that are so believable, they actually might be true.
Talk about it.
Number 1, studies show that cats understand human commands but don't care to follow them. Yeah, I don't like cats. I'm a dog kind of guy. Number 2, it is believed that when you die in a dream, you wake up because your brain doesn't know how to process the idea of what comes after death. Could be. I believe it. Number 3. Now this is scary. The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you Googled Disney Frozen, you would get information about the movie and not the websites talking about Walt Disney's body being frozen. I mean, I did see an article about this that was published in 1995. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I do believe it. This is where it gets freaky. Number 4. Mike Tyson's fight, Time Traveler. This fight was in 1995. If you look closely, you can see that could be a smartphone. In fact, it does look like a smartphone to me. There were no smartphones in 1995. This is how phones used to look like in 1995. They didn't have cameras. They barely had any color. But this thing double flashed, exactly like how an iPhone or an Android would take a picture. I don't know about time travel, but this is very interesting. I'd really like to know what this thing was. What's the creepiest conspiracy theory that you heard of?
I think the one that got to me was probably like the time travel joint by Mike Tyson, because he showed us a graphic of those phones. They did not match up at all. I don't know if that could have been like a different version of prototype or something, man, or a different type of camera, but I think that one got to me the most, man. Time travel.
The 3 most dangerous places you should never set foot. Number 3, the Hoia Baciu Forest, located in Romania, is often dubbed the Haunted Forest due to the many paranormal stories reported there. Many visitors have described feelings of anxiety, a sense of being watched, and some even claim to have seen ghostly apparitions. In addition to the inexplicable phenomena, the forest features oddly shaped trees in areas where vegetation doesn't grow at all, heightening its mysterious ambience. Number 2, the Chernobyl zone in Ukraine is the site of the biggest nuclear disaster in history. In 1986, a reactor at the nuclear power plant exploded, releasing significant amounts of radioactive material into the environment. Today, while some parts of the region are open for strictly controlled tours, others remain highly contaminated by radiation and can pose a severe health hazard. It's crucial to adhere to safety guidelines and not stray off marked paths. Number 1. The Valley of the Kings in Egypt, located on the west bank of the Nile near Luxor, is famous for its royal tombs dating back to ancient Egypt. While it's a popular tourist destination, it comes with risks. Beyond natural dangers like extreme heat and the risk of dehydration, there have been speculations and legends about the pharaoh's curse, where those who disturb the pharaoh's tombs would be cursed.
This might ruin your
I ain't going there.
But in the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, there's a really dark joke in there that a lot of people missed. In this scene, you can see the presidents of Mount Rushmore getting pied in the face. But pay attention to Abraham Lincoln. Unlike the other presidents, he gets pied in the back of the head, which is exactly how he was assassinated in life.
Oh, what? I never even picked up on that, man. These movies, man, they has hidden messages when you're a kid. You just don't get it.
What is going on here? This robot is literally serving drinks at a bar at an event recently hosted by Elon Musk.
There you go.
Our robot.
Everybody, get pictures. Get my good side. Optimus number 1. Robots are the future. How's it going, sir? What can I get you? Watermelon. You want a watermelon? Yeah. I can't convince you to get the robot? Yeah. Okay, I'll get you one. Just kidding.
No.
How's your night going so far?
Now, this robot created by Elon, which he named Optimus, isn't only capable of serving drinks. Apparently, it can do a lot more. Apparently, Optimus can dance and interact with people, and it can do things around the house like cleaning, cooking, mowing the lawn, taking out the garbage, walking your dogs, and also babysitting. I'm sorry, but if this robot can actually do all these things, then I don't see how people wouldn't want one. Tesla's vision for Optimus is so that people can integrate this robot in their everyday lives so that it can do things that we don't want to do or things that are just repetitive or dangerous. When I first saw this, I immediately thought about iRobot, which came out in 2004, which is funny because the director of iRobot recently accused Elon of copying his designs for his new Tesla products, and he tweeted this. Now, if you see a side-by-side, you can kind of see a resemblance. It's been said that Optimus would first be used internally at Tesla facilities, and then it will expand its productions for other companies, and then eventually for the general public. So it's possible that you can have one of these in your house by 2027. Now, the price for one of these is around 20 to 30K, and Elon mentioned that he is aiming to make it more affordable so that more people can buy it. But if Optimus can really cook, clean, and do my laundry, take my money, Elon. No, but seriously, would you guys actually drop this much money for this? Let me know.
I'll speak for me. No. No. Like, our robot was the blueprint. Didn't you not see what happened in that movie, man? The side-by-side comparisons. The designs, they too similar to me, bro. We seen how that game, they trying to rise up against us. No. I will not be getting that Tesla bot. No. I can't do that.
Conspiracy theory claims that the show was inspired by events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility called La La Land. The children there were isolated from the others and placed in dark rooms. But apparently 4 of those children died on the same day, inspiring the Teletubbies. Lala apparently had facial disfigurement and was isolated for 5 years, and that inspired the Teletubby Lala. Toy was a deaf, facially disfigured kid who was tied to a fence outside and had gotten frostbitten from the cold. This inspired Tinky Winky. Donka, who was starved and was very, very sick, would lay in his own vomit for days, inspired Dipsy. And finally, Paulina, who had fell into a fire and was roasted alive, inspired Pug. But you won't believe the reason they were called the Teletubbies. You see, the children's main source of entertainment in their rooms were their TVs. They were as small as a small iPad. Sometimes when they heard their toys was going to be confiscated, they would hide them in their mouths. And they had just found out that the institution was going to get rid of the TVs. And they didn't want that, and they couldn't hide the TVs in their mouths. So one of them had the great idea to hide them in their stomachs, because that's the only place they could fit. Mind you, these kids are a little bit not all the way there. So they came up with a plan to rip their insides out in order to fit the TVs inside and hide them. They tried it, and the next morning, the caregiver walked in on all 4 children dead.
These are facts about Halloween that I bet you didn't know. Up first, Halloween is extremely old. Halloween is thought to have originated in 4000 BC, which means Halloween has been around for more than 6,000 years. This is extremely crazy, and I never knew it was this old. Up next, jack-o'-lanterns are actually named after a stingy man named Jack, who, because he tricked the devil several times, he was forbidden access to heaven and hell. He was then condemned to wander Earth, waving his lantern to lead people away from their paths. Next up is a pretty crazy statistic. Americans alone will buy more than 600 million pounds of candy on Halloween. I don't even know why there is this much candy available to buy. And the crazy thing is, I guarantee all this candy gets eaten.
Man, I didn't know Halloween was that old, bro.
The strangest places in the world, part 1. Firstly, on top of a hill in Pennsylvania, some stones can be found that shouldn't actually be there, because there's no nearby high terrain where they could have originated. These are called the ringing rocks, because whenever something hits these stones, they make a strange ringing noise. Next is the petrifying well in England. where water flows from a rock and turns whatever it touches into stone. As you can see, people often leave items like hats, teddy bears, or even bicycles, which appear to have already been turned into stone. Some people believe there's a mystical power, but the scientific reason behind this is the unusually high mineral content in the water, which forms a hard mineral shell on any object it comes into contact with. And within a few months, everything essentially becomes a stone statue.
This is the power of time. These are the footprints of the monk Ha-Chi. He stood in his temple for so many years that the floorboards warped around his feet. He prays over 3,000 times a day and always stands in the same place. This bronze arm was attached to a tree when it was just a baby. It was attached in 1968 and the tree actually grew around it. And today the arm is permanently attached to the tree. And this is a corner of a bike store that's been around for over 50 years. Customers park there every day and it's been wearing down ever since.
Hell in Different Religions, Part 2.
Time is powerful.
Buddhism. In Buddhism, after you die, you can be reborn into one of the 6 realms of reincarnation. Which realm you'll be put into depends on your actions in your previous life. The lowest realm possible is the realm of Naraka, which is hell. Now, there are different Narakas you can be put into, it just depends on how bad you were in your previous life. Each of these Narakas having vastly different punishments, and the climates in the different Narakas can range from incredibly cold to boiling hot. But the time spent in Naraka is never eternal. Once you've served your punishment, you'll be reborn once again. But the time one does spend in Naraka can be hundreds of millions of years, or well beyond that.
That long down there? Hundreds of millions of years?
The Muffin Man is actually a serial killer. You know the Muffin Man nursery rhyme, right? But did you know it was based on a dark, true story? 1 second. Chocolate chip. Tastes like your mama wanted. But yeah, the story is darker than you think. Because in the 1800s, there was a man named Frederick Thomas Linwood. And he would wait lurking in alleys, looking for his next victims. And they would always be kids. You see, he would kidnap them and unalive them, luring them in with muffins. I mean, what kid wouldn't want a tasty snack? When the townspeople got word of what was happening, they decided to come together and figure out a way to prevent this, to spread awareness amongst the kids and keep them safe, warning them about the Muffin Man, who was a danger on Drury Lane. You're walking past the alleyway, and the Muffin Man gets you. Your fourth act sees this and tries to rescue you. Let me know who it is and let me know if you think you'd be doomed or not. Anyways, he's one of the first documented serial killers in the world. And everyone still teaches this song to their kids, even children TV shows. And yet nobody knows that
The Muffin Man, you know I know the Muffin Man because of Shaq. The Muffin Man? Then I found out that it really was a dark origins. The first documented, you know what, man? Oh, they put this stuff in our medias when we're kids and things, but like I said, we never notice it, man. Once you grow up, bro, you realize your childhood is very different.
You won't believe this little boy actually exists. This boy, Nanyo Sui from China, was born with glowing eyes. People were curious why his eyes glow blue, so they ran a test on him. They put him in pitch black with cards and a note, and he read them perfectly. His eyes seem to have a genetic ability of cats and other nocturnal animals. Scientists have been a little skeptical, but people say he can see in full darkness perfectly, like a superhero.
Damn. You got night vision, bro.
In the year 2067, you'll have to pay for oxygen or suffocate to death. This movie is called 2067 and we have to talk about it. It's set in the future after climate change destroyed all plants on Earth. In Australia, only one city survived. And that's because of a company called Chronocorp Corporation and they make artificial oxygen. But breathing in this artificial oxygen causes a strange sickness over time. Here's where the main character Ethan White comes in. He's a mechanic at the company, but one day everything changes. The leader of the company calls Ethan into their lab and revealed this giant machine. She says Ethan is the only person who can stop humanity from going extinct and Ethan is confused. Then we see Ethan has like a weird device on his wrist. And we find out 20 years ago his dad put that device on him for an experiment and never told him. Turns out this machine is actually pretty much a time machine. and it sent back a secret message from the future. When they decoded the message, they realized it said send Ethan White. Ethan obviously does not want to go, but his wife is sick from breathing in too much artificial oxygen, so he finally agrees, leaves her a note, and goes into the time machine to be sent to the year 2474. When he gets there, he realizes all the plants have been restored, but no humans are anywhere. Then he finds a locked door with a skeleton in front of it. As he looks closer, he realizes the skeleton is himself. It even has the same wrist device, except the light has turned green. So why did his dad actually put that device on him all those years ago? And why is he the chosen one to save humanity? There's a huge plot twist in the end, and I just thought this story was so interesting. So go watch it and let me know what you think. And follow for more movies and stories.
Should I check that out, man? That actually piqued my interest. I wonder what that plot twist is, man. Any of you seekers actually watched that movie 2067? I'm gonna have to check that out.
3 extremely disturbing facts you won't believe are actually true. Number 3. In a bizarre case, an Ohio man was mistakenly declared dead by the Social Security Administration in 1979. Upon discovering this error in 1994, he immediately initiated legal action to restore his status as a living person. However, a judge refused to overturn the decision, stating that there was a 3-year limit to challenge such a declaration.
What?
As a result, this man is legally living as a deceased person in his own country. Number 2. There's a disturbing practice at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. The chicks that hatch live in front of visitors in their chick hatching exhibit are then sent to the Brookfield Zoo, where they are fed to predator animals. This is a shocking truth hidden behind a seemingly innocent exhibit. Number 1. Disneyland and Disney World are iconic places, often associated with joyful family memories. However, there's a strange phenomenon that occurs in these parks. People so frequently scatter the ashes of their loved ones there that Disney had to establish a special procedure to deal with it. A dedicated team is ready to intervene as soon as an ash scattering is reported, cleaning up the area to maintain the park's joyful atmosphere.
Here's some facts that'll instantly make you smarter. Part 1. Bananas are not actually fruits, they're herbs. And this is because the stem of the banana is succulent and not wood. Scientists say that it's less likely to rain on a Monday than any other day of the week. Reason is that Mondays carry less pollution over the weekend. If you drop a piece of toast, it'll almost always land butter side down. Try this one out and let me know. And finally, the hardest language for an English speaker to learn is Japanese, Chinese, Arabic, or Korean.
Oh, really?
Scary facts that will make your skin crawl. PT.3. If you're wearing earplugs listening to music, and you hear someone calling you or the door knocking, there is no one calling. It's the ghost informing you of their presence. The inventors of the Ouija board claim it got its name when they asked it what it should be called. They also asked it what Ouija meant, and it replied, "Good luck." If you're walking and you feel someone behind you, it's a ghost looking at you. The human body can feel the presence of ghosts.
I think I felt something like that before, man. When somebody's staring at you, but you can't identify what it is. I feel like a chill down my spine. Is this cap a fact, man? They put a GoPro on a shark? But that is true, man. Like how, isn't it scary how they said 80% of our ocean is undiscovered, or we haven't even reached the full potential of it yet? So there's things down there that we don't even have no idea what it is. If you think about it, man. Something to think on. We hear that? I'm hitting the jets. I'm out.
Today I learned that if your parent calls you by your sibling's name, it's not because they're playing favorites, but rather it's a cognitive glitch. This misnaming phenomenon is due to our mental semantic network categorizing people into different social groups or relationship bonds, according to a 2016 study published in the Memory and Cognition Journal by Samantha Deffler. When I say spoon, you might think of a fork. Similarly, when a mom calls for her daughter, the concept of her daughter is also linked to her son. So she may accidentally call her daughter by her son's name. It was also found that some family members accidentally call each other by their family's dog's name. Deffler also recalls one young man accidentally calling his girlfriend by his sister's name, to which the girlfriend responded, "That's probably a bad sign." Misnaming also occur phonetically when initial or internal sounds sound the same, like John, Johnny, or Bob, but physical appearance and gender was proven to not be a factor. So next time someone calls you by a different name, don't take it personally, but it does give you a clue that your name belongs to a certain relationship pond in that person's mind. Alright, that's all. This is Shanksta, over and out.
This
Interesting
video shows
facts.
different sizes of animal eggs. We're starting off with really tiny eggs.
Okay.
So obviously, these ones are no bigger than a Tic Tac. But don't worry guys, we're gonna get much bigger.
Wow, okay.
Platypus, I didn't know platypus had really tiny eggs.
Damn.
Sea turtles, yes, okay.
American robins,
Quail
quail.
eggs, now have you guys tried quail eggs? I definitely have, and they're very tasty. Chicken eggs, the average, that's the standard.
That's
for
the
eggs,
biggest
right?
one.
Crocodile eggs, they look like Tic Tacs, honestly.
Kiwi,
eggs,
damn.
how do they even come out of that? Of the kiwi
A
bird?
flamingo, I'm guessing.
Okay, dragon eggs, I didn't know they existed. Okay, I thought it was a mammoth and mammoth could lay eggs, but obviously it don't. It was a mammoth bird.
Xenomorph, what the f?
Getting in territories where these animals don't exist and
Another woman. Well, that's exactly what this man did. On August 11, Ryan Borgward went on a fishing trip, and that was the last time his wife and 3 kids saw him. His wife reported him missing, and when police went to go look for him, they found his kayak upside down, his car still parked, and his cell phone in the water. So obviously, police thought that there was an accident and he drowned, so they had a search team look for him in the water, but they couldn't find him. But then in October, 2 months after he disappeared, police found out that he crossed over into Canada just a few days after he went missing. So imagine, at first the family's devastated because they think that their father is dead, but then they find out that he's alive and he's in Canada. When police got a hold of his laptop, they found out that this man had been plotting how to fake his death for months. He went about getting a new passport, purchased a $375,000 life insurance policy. He wiped out everything from his computer and even changed the emails linked to his bank accounts. But it gets even crazier because police found out that he sent money to a foreign account, and then they find out that he was in contact with a Russian woman this entire time. So did he leave his family to start a new life? But then everything kind of went downhill for him because he sent police a video telling them that he was safe and alive and there's nothing to be worried about. Then he decided to return to Wisconsin a couple of days ago and he was arrested for faking his own death. So my question is, what made him come back? Did his relationship with this woman not work out?
Crazy things happen.
Maybe he had fizzled out or something like that, or he just thought he made a huge mistake, man, but it's too late. The consequences for freaking your death is, I'm guessing it's pretty huge, bro. He couldn't just end it. He had to pull like a Taken, bro. Like he just freaking was gone, bro. Come on, man. We gotta do better than that, bro. Just end the relationship if it ain't worth it, bro.
Happening in the world right now. A bear that attacked luxury cars in LA was actually a person in a costume, according to insurance investigators. Passengers have a new fear unlocked because the plane they were on flew for 9 hours and then landed back at the same airport they came from. Mike Tyson reminded a child reporter that she too will die someday. A police officer pulled over his own boss for speeding. A former inmate sued Oklahoma jail officers for their baby shark torture tactic. A woman who dropped her phone in between 2 boulders got stuck upside down trying to get it. A fire station burned down in Germany after there was no fire detection system installed. The latest study shows that self-driving cars are safer than humans driving cars unless it's dawn, dusk, or it's trying to turn. A new alleged potato cartel is being accused of conspiring to raise the price of frozen fries and tater tots across the United States.
Facts that will definitely make your skin
They
crawl.
want that money.
Too. There is more of a chance of you finding a dead body underneath your bed than actually finding it in the garbage. If you ever plug your nose during a sneeze, you can actually rupture a blood vessel in your neck or your brain and it'll cause you to bleed to death. The electric chair was actually invented by a dentist. If a black cat looks at you and runs, it usually means something is about to happen to you, usually being pretty bad.
Well, I heard someone said your body
Take
by
those
choice.
facts in.
I agree. The best one. It is a sickness. So here's how nature deals with that. Bonobos actually have a system where if one female gets pressed by a male and she's not feeling him, she'll let out a cry, and every female in the group will pull up and put the beats on dude until he learns respect. They actually managed to nerf male aggression through the power of friendship. So you know when a new male lion takes over a pride, the first thing he does is cancel any cubs that didn't come from his. Well, sometimes the lionesses ain't having it. Sometimes they jump the new guy. There was one case in Masai Mara where a male tried to steal food from some cubs and got absolutely obliterated by the mothers. They castrated him. I can't even show you that picture. The biggest threat to a baby bear is a bigger male, and some mother bears will purposely live closer to people, knowing that's the only thing keeping her biggest ops away. Ironically, some bears choose the man. Funny. When a capybara wants to dub a guy, she'll dive into the nearest body of water and just sit there. For as long as it takes. By the way, the guinea pig can stay under 5 minutes. Female dragonflies will fake their deaths to avoid male attention. Like they'll freeze in midair, crash to the ground, and just lay there and pray that stops them. Sometimes it doesn't. Some anacondas will seemingly let the male score, only to strangle him to a flatline and then eat him alive. The more you know.
Nah, the dragonfly pulling the fake freeze, bro. Like, you know how those streamers be doing, like, con them? There was fake freeze in the freaking avoided their acted, bro. Is that where they got it from? The more you know, man. We learning out here today.
Insane true stories that you won't believe. Back in 2004, a man named Mitch who was a senior in college fell in love with a girl in his grade. After they graduated, they moved in together and began to work. And 2 years later, they got married. Not too long after, Mitch's wife became pregnant. But his job was going so well that his wife was able to stay at home and take care of their newborn baby. And a few years after that, his wife became pregnant again. Mitch absolutely adored his family. And with raising his kids and having a great job, he was living his best life. But one night while he was watching TV, he noticed something strange out of the corner of his eye. A red lamp in their family living room was blurry. Nothing else in the room was blurry to Mitch except for that lamp. He decided to shrug it off, but when he looked at it again, it was not only blurry, but it appeared to be upside down. He didn't tell his family because he didn't want to concern them. But after a few days, Mitch became obsessed over this lamp. He even skipped work just to stare at it all day long. And he eventually became unresponsive. Part 2's up now.
Alright, who am I mad at? You! I'll never forgive you for that. Crazy how a cereal commercial managed to gaslight us about this bird. Toucans are one of the strangest dinosaurs still alive, and no, I'm being serious. First of all, it's not even a parrot, it's basically a giant woodpecker. And they're not just fruit-loving rainbow vegans, they eat other birds. As in, they'll go out of their way to raid nests and eat the baby birds inside. Yeah, follow your nose, right? You know, and they're not also murking bats and frogs and pretty much anything else. I've even seen one life-deprive an owl. Y'all think they're cute, but I see right through them. And like this bird in reverse, you can too. The skin is so thin and translucent, you can stretch it and shine a light through it. It's like it's not even there. They also have a serrated beak. You know, serrated, like a knife. Unless you're a flying fruit ninja, there's no reason for a vegetarian to have that hardware. The signs were there. This tropical drone also has a feather duster for a tongue. That tongue's entire purpose is to shove food back down his throat. And food can be a blueberry or a struggling baby bird trying to escape. But the only way out is through the south mouth. Speaking of which, this is my life. I hate it. Understand that owning a toucan is owning a ballistic, unregulated paintball that will redecorate your home with color bombs whenever they feel like it. I just want to reiterate, any small animal you put near this bird is in danger, but if you want to put a sugar glider next to a Fruit Loops mascot, that is a decision. And they're not that bad. The babies are cute, and they purr.
That's a woodpecker.
These are scary cartoon truths that'll terrify you, part 16. Charlie Brown apparently has cancer. The most obvious clue that Charlie Brown has cancer is that he is mostly bald except for the one small tuft of hair on the front of his head. No other character in the show appears as bald, so it implies that it just wasn't a random characteristic style. The other odd thing about Charlie Brown is his down and out personality. He's always dealing with existential crises, way deeper than any normal 8-year-old should contemplate. The theory goes on to suggest the reason that nothing ever works out for him and his life is always a disaster is because he's in a hospital bed, slowly fading away and projecting his sadness into dreams.
What do you guys think, man? We learned watching these clips together with you guys, bro, that we can't take what the media presents to us, man, as absolute truth. Charlie, man, Dark Origins confirmed? Our childhoods are different, bro.
These are the craziest knockoffs of popular cartoons. Most people know about the amazing world of Gumball, but today I'm going to introduce you to Miracle Star, a Chinese show that was launched in 2014. This knockoff didn't just copy the animation style, it recreated entire scenes from Gumball. The main character is also a cat boy whose brother is a fish with legs. The creators of Gumball obviously found out about this, so they went ahead and made an episode called The Copycats, where the two families from the shows face off. Next, I think we all agree that the Cars franchise is a masterpiece. Well, today I'm bringing you something better. This is a movie called The Autobots, a Chinese movie that was released in 2015. The movie got immediate attention because of its resemblance to Cars. And when I say resemblance, I mean it's almost the exact same movie. The only difference is that in this world there are actual humans, and the characters are very slightly different. But it's pretty obvious that the main character is a blatant copy of Lightning McQueen. And in Cars we have Francesco, but in Autobots we have Francisco instead. The movie's director actually defended it, saying he had never seen Cars before. And there was a sequel planned to come out in 2017, but Disney won a copyright lawsuit against them, so it was cancelled.
That was the most obvious cat, bro, I've seen yet. Of course they were ripping it off. That's like copying somebody's work and just changing the words around. It's still the same.
Craziest Halloween houses you've ever seen. Someone turned their house into a castle and it comes with a dragon. This person made a UFO crash site in their front yard. You have to love Halloween to put that much effort into it. This guy built a huge scarecrow, and look how small he is compared to it. That's gigantic. Someone put a skeleton on the road and made it look like it's coming out of the ground. Before I show you the best one, I just found a way to prank your friends by replacing their texts with whatever you want. If you want to prank your friends, press here on my profile, then press change your friends' text messages. And finally, I really don't like spiders, but this was very well done.
These are the strangest things that have ever been caught on camera. This video shows what appears to be a dark humanoid type creature crawling towards a bunch of boys playing soccer. Once the kids see it, they immediately run away and tear. Nobody knows for sure what this animal was, but many people claim that it was the South American mythical beast known as the Pombero. This next video was taken at the funeral of a 7-year-old girl. It shows one of the balloons that was next to her coffin somehow floating directly to her crying mother in the audience. Many people believe that this was the girl trying to comfort her mother from the grave.
Is that an edit or was that legit, man?
Male lion will step in and show everyone how it's done.
I'm so glad you said that, because I've been wanting to talk about this for a minute. Now I have an excuse. Male lions can hunt. They're actually very good at it. Do you peep the 2-minute? The whole them not hunting thing, that comes from lion pride, and there's a reason for that. You see, lady lions are great at getting groceries, but they can get jacked by hyenas or even other male lions. I think it's something like they only keep 24% of the animals they take down, so it's actually the male's job to defend and kill. Kind of hard to do that when you spend all that energy catching it. Also, the way they hunt is different. Lionesses hunt as a pack running down prey. With lions, the mane kind of gives them away, so they're mostly ambush hunters. The male lions do help hunt. It's usually to help bring down bigger tanks like buffalo. They're like mercenaries. They just come in and finish the job. Simba also has to patrol his territory and run phase with any down bad males that want to take over his pride. Yeah, no pride to be found after that. Also, before they even get a pride, they're in their bachelor nomad era, and if they don't hunt for themselves, they die. Here's some other lion facts, just because I feel like it. It's actually proven. Lions will leave an area after murking something, just to give their survivors a chance to let their guard back down. Some lionesses will purposely play paternity roulette and give up the lion yash to any males, even ones outside the pride, because not knowing who the father is actually saves the cubs from meeting Mufasa. In 2004, a man jumped into a lion exhibit and attempted to convert them to Christianity. Yeah, the cats. He told them Jesus will save you, and for his efforts he nearly got a meet and greet with him. The more you know.
Here's how shows were originally supposed to look. So Toy Story featured this much larger, wide-chinned Woody that was actually supposed to be a villain, with Buzz Lightyear appearing in a red suit. Glad they changed that. Monsters Inc. originally animated Mike Wazowski without hands and looking a bit less friendly, and Sully was completely different, foregoing blue for brown and looking a bit more dorky. Lost media of Shrek was found in 1996, which had Shrek looking a lot creepier with very little resemblance to the good-looking man that we all know and love today. Lightning McQueen was supposed to be a basic stock car with more body to appeal to more viewers, since race cars are considered to be too low. Finding Nemo originally had the whale scene with only Nemo, and made the blue whale a lot less intimidating than in the final version. Smurfs had an unpolished finish leading up to the days before final production, looking like this. And finally, Sonic from Sonic the Hedgehog movie was originally animated to look like this. Pretty cool, right?
This man was seen.
We know how that went. Thank you for those redesigns, bro. They freaking define people's childhoods, bro. Especially, man, that Sonic redesign, bro. I remember the Havoc that came out When they dropped that trailer, it was chilling on Twitter. They had to go back to the drawing board. Thank you for that, bro.
Seen sleepwalking every night to an abandoned well, and when people found out why, he was arrested. Part 2. Inside, they found barrels of gunpowder. It turns out Assad was sent to the village by a large mining company. The village was actually built on a large gold deposit, but for years the villagers wouldn't let the company mine it. So every week the company would send Assad a shipment of gunpowder which he secretly poured down the well. And when the time was right, he would set it off, causing a massive landslide, destroying the village and letting the company mine the gold. But before I tell you what happened, if you want to erase corrupt world leaders that invade other countries or really anything from your photos, you need to try this. Just press this button on my profile and try erasing something. Since Assad was always thinking about this plan, he would subconsciously walk there while he was sleepwalking, which ultimately got him caught.
The ultimate sleepwalker, bro. He was dedicated to that plan. Don't know how much that had to be drilled into you, bro, to be doing that while you're sleeping. I've never seen a sleepwalker before. I think that's weird, bro.
3 facts that could save your life, part 5. If you ever find yourself trapped on a thin piece of ice and have no way of getting back to safe land before it breaks, lie down on your stomach and start slowly crawling back to exactly the way you came in on. That'll put less stress on the ice, making it almost impossible for it to break. Most people understand flags on shorelines, but the purple flag confuses most people. The purple flag being the warning that the most dangerous sea creatures are in that exact area, such as jellyfish, stingrays, and of course, sharks. If you ever feel like puking while you're scuba diving, vomit into the regulator. Do not remove it from your mouth. Removing it from your mouth will make it impossible to reapply it on your face, meaning that you're probably pretty far underwater, and once you remove that from your face, you probably will most likely drown. Like and follow for more videos.
Okay. I think the last one was pretty...
So, nobody finds it interesting that Moana goes looking for her ancestors that are connected to the sea and she comes back with new...
Hello, my friend. How could Moana have African-appearing ancestors if she's meant to be Polynesian? This is an understandable mistake, but the people depicted in Moana 2 are not meant to be African, but instead Melanesians. While the Melanesian appearance shares a lot in common with the appearance of populations in Africa, they're actually further genetically to Africans than Europeans are. The story of Moana is rooted in the history of the Austronesian migration. Around 4,000 years ago, it's understood that Austronesian-speaking people began their voyages from Taiwan, moving across the islands of Southeast Asia. As they sailed, parts of their population settled in islands they crossed, developing into the populations of Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines, to name a few. They eventually sailed across the Pacific Ocean, and some even reached Madagascar, leading to the people of Madagascar today. It's the part of the migration where they started sailing across the Pacific Ocean that explains what you saw in the movie, as well as why Polynesians tend to appear physically different than their Indonesian or Filipino cousins. The Austronesians that sailed towards the Pacific began interacting with the Melanesians, who today remain residing in the islands of Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, and Fiji. Over thousands of years, these groups remained interacting with each other, trading goods, ideas, and even genetics. And so that's why Polynesians and, well, Moana would have some Melanesian ancestry.
Celebrities that disappeared and were never found. Bison Dele played in the NBA for 8 years after being drafted in 1991, even winning a championship alongside Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in 1997. Despite having 5 more years in a $45 million contract with the Pistons, he abruptly retired at the age of 30 in 1999. In his retirement, he enjoyed traveling the world in his catamaran boat that he called Hakuna Matata. On July 6th of 2002, Bison, his older brother Miles, his girlfriend Serena, and skipper Bertrand left Tahiti. By July 8th, the family of Bison and Serena had completely lost contact with them. On July 20th, Miles returned to Tahiti with the boat, but this time he was alone. 2 months later, Miles would be arrested in Phoenix for attempting to forge his brother's signature, attempting to buy over $150,000 worth of gold. The boat was discovered off the coast of Tahiti with the nameplate completely removed and possible bullet holes that had been patched. Now, he confessed that him and his brother had gotten into an argument on the boat. Bison's girlfriend was accidentally hit, fell over, and smacked her head on the part of the boat, which resulted in her death. The captain then wanted to report her death, which is why Bison killed him. Miles then shot his brother in self-defense, threw the bodies overboard, and fled back to the US. Obviously, the story doesn't quite add up. Now, before police could even attempt to try and verify his story, he intentionally overdosed on insulin and died September 27th, 2002.
Oh, brother, bro. For some gold, man. He just thought he can sail back and everything would be okay. No, I don't work like that, man. Consequences, reactions. That's an edit.
My biggest fear was having an ugly baby. Now look what the fuck I got. Look at him. He is so funny looking.
How dare you say something like this about your own child? To all the moms watching this, do you think this is normal? Now, I'm not married, I don't have kids, but this is messed up. You've been carrying this child for 9 months. This child is your own skin, and you go and call him ugly publicly online. To me, miss, your child looks adorable. There are women out there that gave birth to babies missing arms and legs, and they were never treated differently than other kids. These kids eventually grow up winning golden medals in Special Olympics.
Talk about it.
But the thing is, there's nothing wrong with your child, miss. What a shame. What a shame.
Yeah, like, but how can you talk about that like your own flesh and blood? Saying talking about you have an ugly baby. That was a cute baby. Like, but that doesn't even make sense. Man, this world of secrets. We have to be better as a people, everybody, but just be better as human beings.
An influencer has died at a creator event hosted by Box Lunch. If you're not aware of the story or of Dominique and the events that led up to this, Dominique Brown is a Disney influencer. She was invited to attend a creator event that was going to be hosted by Box Lunch. Dominique also had a number of severe allergies, which allegedly she had made the event team very aware of. But despite them being aware of that, an incident took place at the event where Dominique suffered a severe allergic reaction. People who were at the event made allegations that she did not receive very necessary medical attention in time, and it was confirmed Dominique did die at the event. The most disturbing and dystopian thing about all of this is that other creators, other influencers who attended this event are allegedly still posting content, positive content from the event, as if this event did not happen.
These are the most haunted places
people do for money.
in the Philippines. Before I start listing them down, you do need to know that for all paranormal investigators, the country of Philippines is on their to-do list, as it's known worldwide for its haunted destinations. Starting at number 4, Fort Santiago, Intramuros in Manila. The walls of Intramuros turn into something terrifying, reminding you of the dark Spanish era. Thousands of civilians and soldiers were tortured and killed in Fort Santiago during World War II. It may be a hot tourist spot, but at night, the strange noises that are heard in this fort tends to keep visitors and tourists away. Number 3, Clark Air Base Hospital in Pampanga. This abandoned building used to be a military hospital during World War II and the Vietnam War. Paranormal investigators have confirmed that demons have conquered this property. It is commonly visited by YouTubers, but things always go wrong. The jinns that are specifically in this hospital are a little more protective towards their home. Number 2, Manila Film Center, Pasay City. This building is potentially one of Asia's most haunted destinations. When a building is haunted in the United States, you will hear noises. But when a building is haunted in the Philippines, it is a whole nother level. This film center was abandoned in the 80s after it collapsed during construction. It killed all the workers, and none of their bodies were retrieved. And ever since, visitors were always warned to stay out of this building. The bad energy in this place spiritually drains you. And finally, number 1, Diplomat Hotel in Baguio City. Baguio City is ranked as the world's most haunted city as a whole. The Diplomat Hotel goes way back to 1911. No priests were able to cleanse this place. After many deaths inside this hotel, the business ceased its operations in 1987. Many paranormal investigators from around the world swore that they would never visit this building again. The Philippines is a beautiful country, but it is well known for its horrifying stories. You tell me, what country should I do next?
Brave man whose life was taken while he tried to protect his family at the Trump campaign rally. On July 13th, the 50-year-old Corey Comprador, his wife and 2 daughters attended the rally in Pennsylvania where Trump was speaking. The family sat on the stand right behind Trump when less than 10 minutes into the speech, the shooting began, and while Trump was hit in the right ear, 3 other people were also hit. These are 2 of the 3 victims, David Dutch and James Copenhaver. They were in critical condition but are expected to recover. Unfortunately, 50-year-old Corey did lose his life while he tried to protect his family. His wife Helen and his 2 daughters said that he died a hero, and the last words that he said to them was to get down before he threw them to the floor and covered them. Corey worked as a project and tooling engineer and was a firefighter of the Buffalo Township Volunteer Fire Company. After this tragic and sad incident, over $4.7 million has been donated to the victims, with Elon Musk donating $100,000 as well as Dana White and Kim Rock.
What's the most dangerous place on Earth? Number 8 is
story.
Lake Natron in Tanzania. The lake's so alkaline, animals get mummified. Number 7, Morgan Island, off the coast of South Carolina, with 4,000 monkeys all infected with the herpes B virus. 6 is Mexico's giant crystal cave, 1,000 feet underground. Cave is 113 degrees Fahrenheit and 100% humidity. 5, Oymyakon, Russia. It's the coldest town on Earth, reaching minus 50 degrees. Number 4, Runnet Island. In the 70s, the US government buried radioactive plutonium. Number 3, the K2 Summit. It's the inhospitable mountain summit in the world. Number 2 is Snake Island, an island full of thousands of poisonous snakes. It's illegal to go here. Number 1 is North Sentinel Island, home to the indigenous people who have violently rejected contact with the outside world. So much so, if you even get close, they'll swim out to you and try to kill you.
I think the one that got to me the most was that freaking the island with the monkeys that said they had herpes. What the hell? They got a whole island to themselves, man. Please don't tell me people actually, attempted to try to go to that monkey island, man. They did, bro. They're just out of their minds if they even attempt that. That it.
This priest tied himself to 1,000 colorful helium balloons and then was found in the ocean months later. On April 20th, 2008, 41-year-old Father Adiller DeCarli wanted to raise money to build a chapel in his hometown, so he chose to tie himself up to 1,000 helium balloons and float over the ocean. He also hoped to break the previous 19-hour record, but unfortunately, things ended tragically. On the morning of April 20th, Father Adiller was fully repaired to take off, and for safety reasons, he put on a helmet, waterproof coveralls, and an aluminum thermal flight suit, as well as a GPS tracker and a radio to communicate with people on the ground. Only a few hours after taking off, despite the radio and GPS tracker, Father Adiller disappeared and could not be located. The last thing that he said through the radio was that he was losing height and was going to land in the ocean. Search and rescue teams were immediately dispatched, and after 2 days, they found the colorful balloons in the sea off Brazil's southeast coast, but Father Adiller was not there. Then, a few months later, a body was found in the ocean, which turned out to be him. It was reported that the priest had reached an altitude of 20,000 feet and then was blown off course by the strong winds, causing his tragic death. Here are some things that are...
That's like basically the Up movie, bro. Using all those balloons floating in the air. That wind threw him off course, bro. I'm like, man, I wouldn't even attempt to do something like that, see, because that's just way too dangerous. These people are risk takers.
They're completely normal during the day, but really creepy at night. Digging holes in your backyard. I mean, it's your backyard, and you're entitled to do whatever you want to it, but if I see you digging some holes in the middle of the night, I'm gonna be really concerned. Bonus creepy points if you have some trash bags next to you, too. I feel bad for people who work graveyard shifts or are night owls, because it makes it difficult to do any gardening or landscaping without looking pretty creepy. They say a child's laughter is one of the most beautiful sounds in the world, but not if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Scary movies have absolutely ruined the sound of a child laughing for me, because most instances, I'm gonna assume the worst. And for some reason, little girls laughing are even more scary. Like, imagine being in the woods camping and you hear some little girl laughing in the distance. My brain isn't gonna think, oh cool, some family must be camping near us. No, I'm gonna think that I'm gonna get murdered or possessed by some demon. Someone knocking on your door during the day, it's annoying. Who the fuck is showing up at my house unannounced? It must be a salesman or, worse, Mormons. That same knock at 3 in the morning? No, I'm getting murdered for sure. I'm on the 2nd floor, and my only way out is to jump out the window, so I'm done for.
People just saw not one, but 2 great white sharks feasting on a humpback whale carcass off the coast of Cape Cod. And I bet you don't know why they need just so much food. The great white shark, or Carcharodon carcharias, can eat over 66 pounds of blubber in just one sitting, enough to sustain it for over a month. Great white sharks need to eat between 3 and 5% of their body weight every single day, meaning the largest members of their species could easily eat over 80 pounds of food a day. In large part, it's due to their biology. The great white shark can exceed lengths of 20 feet, weigh over 5,000 pounds, swim at about 35 miles an hour, and up to 50 miles a day. They are actually the largest macropredatory fish in the ocean and belong to a very unique family known as Lamidae in the order Lamniformes, or mackerel sharks. In the family Lamidae, there are 3 amazing genera, one including Carcharodon, or the great white, another which is known as Ischurus, including both the short and long fin mako, the fastest sharks in the ocean, and the lamna containing possibly the cutest shark in the ocean, known as the salmon shark and the poor beagle. What makes these sharks especially unique and also makes them a more effective predator than many other sharks is that they're regionally endothermic. Just like you and I, they can actually warm their own body without relying on ambient water temperature to heat and cool themselves. This basically allows them to outperform other shark species that don't have that biological function that live in the same cold waters that they often occupy.
So they like freaking evolving into a super predator seekers. We seen evolution like right in front of our eyes, man. They eat like 60 pounds of blubber? Do you guys know how much that is? Tap in with us, you're gonna learn. That's a dead it. Call it like we see it, man.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all. If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today. The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12.
You guys believe about the phones?
There's actually 5 different ways a snake can move. Holy hell! One where it moves in a straight line, or shifting the weight from front to back. Third one's just a normal slither, sidewinder. There's actually even a flying snake. Flatten its body to glide through the air. Flattened snake body provides enough lift to glide down safely from the tall trees of Indonesia.
A flying snake.
I
What the
once
hell?
with sharks nearly ended up in the hospital, and not for any reason you think. Shout out to Nat Geo for sponsoring this video. I'm gonna change the way you look at sharks in less than 60 seconds. Let's get it. The author of Jaws, Peter Benchley, not only did he regret writing the book because of all the bad PR to sharks, he would dedicate the rest of his life to shark conservation. If Jaws were written today, the shark would be the victim. The Greenland shark is a slow bird glacier guppy that can not only live for up to 400 years, they don't hit baby making age until 150. 150, dude, and still young. Now there's more than 500 types of sharks, so it's easy to miss one, like the chain cat shark, which happens to glow in the dark that's biofluorescence. The epaulet is a shark that disrespects the natural order by walking, using pelvic and pectoral fins to move around during low tide. Sharks use a type of camouflage called countershading, meaning if you're above them, they blend into the dark abyss, but if you're below them, their light underbelly gets lost in the light of the sky. When you've been around longer than trees, nature gives you perks like that. That's Anthony Mackie. It is, and he and Ross Edgley and many more will be a part of National Geographic Shark Fest airing on Disney Plus and Hulu. Check it out if you're ready to see sharks be anything but the bad guy. Oh, that's right. Well, I wasn't lying. The sharks are fine, but the ocean slammed me against the basket cage like it owed me money. So, moral of the story, I'm not afraid of sharks, just the ocean around it.
Creepy facts I bet you didn't know, part 1. Your lips and anus are connected by the same tube. 90% of serial killers choose their victims by sexual desire. Your organs move freely around your body. Crows used to follow armies to feed on dead bodies. Human sacrifice was a real thing in Aztec Mexico.
The more you know. Is that, I guess, where crows got their sign meaning from? Those like crows mean death or something like that. That makes sense.
Last words people said right before dying. A nice old lady told a CNA that she wanted to wear all white. When asked why, she said the man in black is here. She looked in the corner of the room. The CNA looked, but there was no one there. That's when the nurse came into the room. They asked her to describe what she was seeing, and she said he's in all black, and he's got a top hat on. And then she whispered, and his eyes are red. While her eyes moved across the room to directly behind the CNA, like she was watching him move closer to them. She died later that night, but it was unexpected. That room creeped the nurse and the CNA out for a long time after that.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When Gerardo Mendina turned 18 years old, his mom, Lena, was 23, meaning she had her son at just 5 years old, making her the youngest mother ever. Sudden adult death syndrome is the thing, where your heart just stops seemingly for no reason, like a cardiac arrest, except no cardiac arrest can be detected. So dementia is what they say when there's symptoms of a decline in thinking skills and memory loss, and Alzheimer's is the disease that can cause it. And signs that you might grow up and have this can be detected as early as 3 years old. Not just that though, the symptoms too. Alzheimer's and dementia in children exists, meaning that anybody at any age can completely lose their mind and become a husk of themselves.
Scared to think about. Doesn't Chris Hemsworth have that? That's why I can take a break from acting.
All saw kids that terrified us, part 2. This is the movie Caroline. It's about an 11-year-old girl named Caroline Jones and her parents who move into an old mansion. Caroline then meets a kid named Whitey, who gives her a button-eyed rag doll, which looks exactly like her. Caroline then finds a small door in her living room, which can only be unlocked by a button-shaped key. After she unlocks it and goes in, she enters a completely different world and meets her other mother and father with buttons as eyes. Caroline then keeps going to this different world. The other mother then wants Caroline to stay in this world forever, but she has to get buttons sewed on her eyes. But Caroline does not want to do that and she wants to leave. Her other mother then transforms into a menacing, scary version of herself. The other mother then kidnaps Caroline's real parents, and this is where the movie gets crazy. So, if you've never seen this movie, I recommend go watching it right now.
Caroline movie. Imagine kids walking into that thing, it was just gonna be a nice, fun movie. No, it wasn't. Scary,
Weird
bro.
fact of the day. The idea that ghosts look like this, where they're kind of translucent and float, is extremely recent, and it came about for an extremely specific reason. And I think it's really fascinating because it gets to how human culture is formed. Now, almost every culture in history has ghosts, and they show up in a million different ways. In some cases, they come back and possess animals, or they possess people, or they show up and they can only be seen at night. But prior to the 19th century, they were never described as this. They either just looked like normal, solid people. In some stories, the ghosts would physically attack you, or they would open doors or break down doors. And while they had the ability to disappear or suddenly appear in a room, they were never described like this. Until this invention came along. Back in the early 1800s, before cinema, when people were extremely bored, they invented this device which could project a still image onto a screen. And this gave rise to horror shows called Phantasmagoria, where the audience would gather in a darkened room and a screen would be lowered and they would project onto the screen skeletons and monsters and all sorts of other scary things. But because of the technical limitations of the technology, they could only be portrayed as floating. They couldn't walk around the floor. And because of the screen and the projector, they were always translucent. And according to this book by Susan Owens, The Ghost, A Cultural History, it was only after those shows became popular that you started to see the translucent ghost turn up in stories. This was also around the time of the dawn of photography, and then back then, because of the technology, you used to have to sit perfectly still for a very long time for it to develop properly on the film. This is why people rarely smiled in those photos. You couldn't hold a smile for several minutes. If you got up early or if you moved, it would accidentally create this ghostly image, and it did not take long for photographers to start selling ghost captured on film pictures. And from then on, when people claimed to see a ghost in their home, they would see this, the thing from the Phantasmagoria, the floating, translucent spirit. I feel like this is incredibly important to understand. Not only did media influence and totally alter our concept of what a human soul or spirit looked like, but a physical and technical limitation in that media did it. But 500 years from now, people will probably still be seeing this kind of ghost because of it.
Terrifying facts,
What do you guys think, man? He really broke down the ghost origins of how it all started off because of a tech glitch, yeah. Because of a tech glitch, because the technology was limited. It was basically on film, man. And the influence of how we see ghosts today. Think about it. One little mistake, man. Influence history. But think about it.
Never knew. If your immune system ever found out that you have eyeballs, you would go blind. Which means right now your immune system has no clue that you can see. Because if it did, they would attack your eyeballs until you can no longer ever see. This is because your eyeballs have a protein in them called crystalline that doesn't exist anywhere else in your body. So if your immune system found out and checked them out, it would be like, something's wrong here. Studies show that most serial killers are born in November. Today's high school students have the same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients had in the 1950s. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, my anxiety might be up there too. There's a disease called fatal familial insomnia, where people suddenly one day lose their ability to fall asleep, which leads them to slowly go insane. They can't distinguish dreams from reality anymore and go into some type of paranoia. It becomes so severe that they eventually die. Those that make it to the final stage and don't die usually end up in a vegetative state, no longer conscious. And it can happen to any one of you. About 3,000 people go missing every year in the United States. The last execution by guillotine was in 1977. This was in France. And also that was the same year the first Star Wars movie came out. You are always 6 minutes away from death, but breathing resets the clock. In 2011, Anatoly Yakovlevich was arrested for having 12 dolls in his apartment. Only problem is, they weren't normal dolls. They were recently deceased little girls that had been dug up and dressed to be put on display. In 2012, a Burger King employee anonymously posted this to 4chan. It said, "This is the lettuce you eat at Burger King." It only took 20 minutes for people to track down the branch that he worked at, and he was fired. You really never know what people are doing to your food. H.H. Holmes was a serial killer who built a torture hotel in the 19th century. He had secret rooms with gas chambers, trap doors, and stairs that led to nowhere. He loved to play with his victims' minds. It was almost like a real-life Saw movie. There's a bridge in Scotland called the Overtoun Bridge, and for some reason, dogs keep jumping off of it at the same spot. Yeah, they just jump to their deaths. Experts can't figure out why either. Some people speculate it's a magnetic field, or maybe a frequency that only they can hear, but others believe it's something supernatural. But whatever is making dogs jump off that bridge to their deaths is still to this day unexplained. Joe Matheny was an infamous serial killer who not only cooked his victims to eat for himself, but also made them into burgers, using their remains. He then sold them to unsuspecting customers from a roadside food stand. We really never know what we eat. I'm cooking all my food myself. Because why don't we eat over people's house? In 2021, a new homeowner was shocked to find a boarded up wall. When he ripped the boards off the wall, he discovered a hole. In that hole was a doll clutching a note. The note saying that she killed a family who lived there in the 1960s. Be honest, would you move out? In 1978, there was a pilot named Frederick Valentin. Him and his plane disappeared in Australia. His last communication was, Melbourne, that strange aircraft is hovering above me again. It is hovering and it is not an aircraft. This is a mugshot of William West and William West. Oh, and they're not related at all. But they were both sent to Leavenworth Prison at the exact same time in 1903. And after some confusion, the staff finally figured out they were two different people who had the exact same name and looked identical. This was said to be one of the main reasons why we now use fingerprints to identify somebody. There's biotech being developed as we speak that can make prisoners feel they are serving an 1,000-year sentence in a matter of 8 hours. That's horrifying. Imagine thinking you spent 1,000 years somewhere, and then when you wake up and snap out of it, you realize that it was only a couple hours. Do you know how crazy that is? Anyways, like this video if you want a part 2.
Those are the facts, man. They always get to me. Especially about the one, man. How they spending all that time together. All that time, man, they could just simulate. Makes you wonder what else they got in the works, man. If they have something like that is capable, what else they hiding from us seekers? It really gets my brain turning, man. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, follow me on my social medias down below. Link is in the description so we always can stay connected. Comment down below, man, what do you guys think of these videos, these clips that I found for you guys today, man. Also, man, please hit that like button, man, to push us into this algorithm, man. We're gonna explode one day, man, but I appreciate the support we have now. We're just gonna keep building that momentum and it's gonna take off. Like I said, also comment down below, man, if you guys want me to make a Discord so you guys can send me clips and stuff that maybe that you guys have found that you guys want me to check out. Guys, I'm catching the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.